Okay, so here we are playing Age of Steam. I remembered to move the turn marker forward. That means we're halfway through the game. There's 3 turns total left. Because it was a 6-player game to begin with, even though there's only 5 now, I don't think that changes if somebody gets knocked out of the game. It probably should, but let's see, advance the turn marker after the last turn. Well, it's not clear what the last turn really is. You know, it doesn't cover this situation when somebody gets knocked out. But I'm assuming since it started with 6, we'll play with the 6-player rules. And so I did move the turn marker forward, and then I did issue shares. And everyone except Purple issued 1. Purple issued 2 shares. They're looking to gather more cash. May or may not be a mistake. I keep looking and thinking, you know, I'm just breaking even on cash, which is okay. Cash doesn't matter for victory conditions, but the shares that you issued do. So you get $3 for each dollar of income, 1 or 3 victory points for each dollar of income that you have, 1 for each section of track that's part of a completed railroad link, i.e. between, 2 locations, cities, towns, whatever. But you lose 3 for every share you've issued. And, there's this clear trade-off, but your total value of your railroad seems to go up by issuing shares. For $5, what can I get? Well, I can probably get some income, and even if I just get 1 income box, I've paid off that share. So I think issuing shares is well worth it in terms of victory conditions, which is why everybody did it. Purple looked at it and said, if I'm going to issue 1 share, I might as well issue 2. It's going to cost me, I think they decided, $8 to hook up their next location in line. And then they have a completed line. Now, is that necessary? No, not really. You can have little segments here and there, and you still have the same victory point potential, but you don't have the same delivery potential if you can get your train value up. So it seemed like a good idea to try to boost the income by getting longer runs. Now we go to the auctioning of the player turn, and I will again walk away to do that, and then probably jump right to the special actions unless I have things I want to say, or the not special actions, the build track. Well, of course I lied, and anytime I state something, it's probably going to be false. If I don't state it, I'll just ignore things, but that's okay. So yellow opened up using their turn order special ability and took their pass. Both purple and blue have bid. For whatever reason, they think that getting an early jump on this is going to be important. Now, yellow's up again. They're not going to bid this time. They'll go over, and they lose their turn order ability. And now it's up to purple to bid again if they want. They don't see blue as a real danger to them, so they'll go second, and blue gets to go first. Payouts, first and second player have to pay, so the $3 are lost. And that whole half, if you're down on the bottom rule or whatever, man, you don't have the money to make those bids. At least I don't in this game. Maybe there's optimal ways of playing that are much, much better than what I'm doing here. But, yeah, the last 2 players both pay the full amounts they had bid, and everyone before that pays half. Well, I am just not seeing spending that kind of money being worth the effort in this game. Certainly not that I've seen so far. Alright, so now we move on to the track building. Select special actions. That's what I forgot to do so far. Okay, well, we'll select them. Okay, the choices were made. Blue took the turn order choice. Make sure that they have a shot at early turn order next time without having to pay. They have to pay $2 for their turn order this time. They don't want to have to do that again just to end up not at the end of the pack. They were going to be going way too far down in their view. Although actually neither yellow nor purple was really interfering with them, so they probably should have passed because green and red had already gone. So I think they were kind of foolish in paying. After that, what do we get? Purple. Purple took an urbanization. What they're looking at is upgrading this because they want to link their cities together down this way. And just, again, get that long line for big runs if they can get to them eventually. They also want to try to get some goods out here, which they would off of a new city, and they don't really have the option to get goods out in their other cities. They could have taken up production. Nobody's taking that, so we're seeing big holes happening in the in what's showing up. Now, for the most part, everybody's got enough they can do something this turn, but as that gets tighter and tighter, nobody having taken production means that that becomes more valuable, and somebody's probably going to pick it, and maybe even bid to pick it early. We may see a scarcity. We may see the companies crashing because of this. It's next. Yellow. Yellow took first build. They wanted to jump on the builds. They actually don't see much scarcity at all where they're sitting, so they're like, well, what the hell. Now, their future production isn't really there, but that's okay. They got enough for the next couple turns, right? Green. Yes, short-sighted thought is the bonus of capitalism. Green took first move. They're going to be in perhaps some competition here for the first time. They want to make sure, either from yellow or purple, they want to make sure that they get their pick of the objects to run on their track lay, which is going to go out to Fort Wayne, if they can get that far. They only got a 3 train, right? No, they only have a 2 train. So actually, they've got a lot of track, and they're not going to be using it all. Oh, who's next is Red. Red took a locomotive point. Everybody feels like they're behind in terms of how much rolling stock they have. And in the end, rolling stock, the trains, doesn't hurt you towards victory points. Unlike the shares, both hurt your income, but having additional trains does not hurt where you place in the victory points, and we're getting late enough in the game where it seems important to get that income up as high as possible. Not that it always isn't, but you know. Okay, now finally we're at the build track, and we have the urbanization. Who had that? Purple has it. They're gonna, like I said, they're gonna grab this. Mainly they're looking by color. H is 4, that's one they're using. G is 3. It looks like G is Detroit, so that it is matched with Detroit. So they don't really mind taking that, and they'll put that here in Terre Haute. And now there's a new city. Okay, and we'll move on to the first build, who's going to be yellow. So the track lays after that new city are a little bit different than I expected. Yellow had the first build, and what did they do? They said, oh, that new city, and they shot their way into it, and then out up to Chicago, which kind of takes away perhaps some of what was planned. Let's keep going. Blue shot down to Chicago, which isn't really worth anything right now. There's no goods in it, but there's the potential for goods, which is better than a lot of places have. After that, purple hooked up their connections of track, which left an opening for green to shoot over to Evansville. And that was something I wasn't expecting. I was expecting maybe yellow to have this track down here, and green feels very bonus. However, they lose this, and we get a dead end there up in Michigan City. And I forgot to do that, but that's okay. And you know, I mean, they were planning on shooting through here. Now they got to pay to build that track back again if they want it. But the opportunity to get here into St. Louis was just too good, and they may just continue up, given that situation. And then red, well, red's in their own little playground back here. And they started building track in that playground up near Lake Erie and through Buffalo and all. And that's pretty cool for them. And now we're going to go to delivering the goods. Okay, so after moving goods, we see quite a bit of disparity. Red, with their big 3-train and nice layout all to themselves, was able to pull a lot ahead. They had a lot of tokens available, and they were able to get a lot of ground. Some of the other people, in green especially, who took the first move, but still just wasn't able to move stuff far enough. They only had a 2-train anyway. Now they've set up so they could run a 1, 2, 3 train, and they've got a lot of tokens there that they can ship, but it doesn't directly help them right now. And they're still lagging where they were before. I still think that they didn't place all their pieces, that they failed to make a move that they were supposed to or something, because they're just too far behind on the train and the money to be there. Anyway, what's going to come is I'm going to be paying expenses, but for the first time we're going to see people losing income afterwards. And the income loss, well, we got people at the $11 range. So 3 people, and these 2 were really questionable. Did you want to shoot ahead to $11 this turn and drop down to the 9 space? Because that's what's going to happen. You lose $2 for being over that 10 space. Especially for yellow, who I think ran a single buck run, which was probably just dumb. But let's say they upgraded their train instead, they'd be paying more. So it was kind of a hard choice for them, and they chose to take some extra cash right now. Blues, less of a hard choice, but they are using up the resources that they have available, and it's making that production choice more and more valuable, because we're seeing what's coming is not very, there's not much left. All right, let's take a look at what the money's going to be like. Red's getting 14 minus, what's that, 5, 8. So they're going to pull $6 in. That's pretty good. We haven't seen that kind of money coming. Oh, is it time for that yet? Yeah, income and expenses. Let's look at the next one. Yellow there is at 11 minus 6. They pull $5 in. Again, that's not bad given their position. Overall, they've kind of made this minimalist rail, and it's cut in pieces. I guess this is going to be a full turn video again. I was hoping to get more than 1 turn in a vid. Who's next? Blue. Blue's at $11, but they're at minus 8, which means they only pulled $3 in. Not that impressive. Purple. Purple's at $10 with 9 extra. They only pull $1 in. They're on the other side, heavy on the train, heavy on the share expenditures, a lot of track maybe. Yeah, decent track. Other people have at least as much, I think, like red. They just haven't capitalized as well. Let's look at the next one. After purple, finally we hit green, and green only makes 8, and they're minus 7, so they only get $1. And that's not good for them. Now we have the decreases, and that's huge. That's 6 victory points that just went away for making, especially for yellow, a $1 run. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows what it is? But the cash they deemed to be more valuable. And now we go to goods growth. I'll be rolling that up to see which goods come from here onto the map. Try to remember how to do it right. And then we'll advance the turn marker. Well, a decent amount of goods actually came out on this one. We see blue getting an advantage up here, yellow continuing to build up in Des Moines. One of the new cities got some goods on it. Got to be careful. This is kind of tough. I have to be aware of what's not on the board to be able to easily find what is on the board. Red got an additional one in Toronto. This kind of heartland area didn't get hit though, and that's going to be a problem for people who are relying on that. Yellow's got a lot of goods here, but they don't have anywhere to deliver them to. It's going to be pretty hard for someone to get out of there. The only thing they can do is run parallel track to Yellow and try to set up and play in the same world as them. And nobody's done this so far, mainly because the $1 income just isn't going to cut it for most people. But if you got nothing where you are, and that is not the case for anyone. Everyone has deliveries they're going to be able to make still. I think it's about time that production starts happening now. I'll remember to move this time on time, and then we go forward to the issue shares round for, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 5. And we got one more turn left. Now, here's the weird thing. How many players are in the game for the victory conditions? And how many players are in the game for the die rolls is two different things, but maybe they should be the same amount. I've switched down for the number of dice that I'm rolling because I lost a player, and I thought that was a good idea to keep the game competitive, but maybe it should be extended another turn. I'm not going to do that. Like I said, I've made my fixed decision there, and I kind of want to experience games as much as possible. Even if I'm enjoying this, I'll get to play it again some other time. All right, so on to the next one, and I'm going to load this up.